This is a very, very special video that I've been meaning to make for a very long time. This video is particularly for those of you who are in a rut, who are feeling really, really down, feeling stuck, feeling behind. And not only that, but particularly if you are having a pretty good streak, right? Like you were doing really well, you thought you were healing, and speaking from more of like a religious perspective, your iman was at an all-time high. And all of a sudden, something happened in your life that served to be an obstacle. It just completely took you off course, right? Like this one small decision you made led to another decision, and then now you just find yourself completely off course and you just don't know how to get yourself out of it. I'm just going to speak about it from my perspective because this is what I'm actively going through, and this is probably the best way to help you guys out who are like in a similar position. So Ramadan was just a couple weeks ago, and for those of you who don't really know too much about Ramadan, it's a month that's specifically dedicated to strengthening your relationship with God, pretty much, okay? If I were to summarize everything, it's giving up things for the sake of God, and pretty much it's like you dedicate 1 month and you let go of like worldly things as much as possible in order to develop and strengthen this relationship with God. I, for several years, have not been very religious at all, and this year I decided to just try it out and give it a go. And it was probably one of the most beautiful experiences that I've ever had. And the connection that I developed with God felt so beautiful, so special, that I know that it could only come from a divine source, because these feelings are not something that anything of this world can reproduce. The fact that I got to feel that during this Ramadan was incredible, and it drew me back to God pretty much, but not to the God that I had been familiar with growing up, rather this like whole new relationship that I've never experienced before. So let me kind of like explain to you what happened. I'm gonna put this mic on. I hope this works. Okay, so you guys, I'm fully locked and loaded. I have my laptop here. I got my notes. Like, this is like a whole studio here. So this is pretty much the diagram of your iman, okay? And iman is like your relationship with God, with yourself, and basically like the higher version of yourself, okay? That's what I think of it as. And then this is you, all happy dappy, and you're just chugging along, and all of a sudden your iman's going high, and you're feeling on top of the world, and you feel like unbreakable, you know? Like you feel like you can face any obstacle. You have God by your side. Your prayers are just feeling amazing. Like you feel this amazing connection with the source and with God. And this is a really good place to be at. I'm not going to lie. Like this is a beautiful, magical place to be at. And this is pretty much like where I was at during Ramadan, right? Like I was like pretty high. I was like really high up here. Like I'm feeling amazing, right? And then all of a sudden you have a little blip in the road and you feel some sort of obstacle and your iman goes a little bit down, okay? And maybe it wasn't like too big, and so then you get yourself back up and you kind of go like even stronger and better than what you were before. But all of a sudden something happens in your life that may have been completely unpredictable, and you thought you were prepared for it, but you weren't. And all of a sudden what happens? Boom, you go down. But like, look how far down you can fall, right? Like this is like that game of Chutes and Ladders where, I don't know if you guys are familiar, but like, you know, you go up a ladder and you think like you're so far ahead and you finally made it, but then all of a sudden one wrong move and you fall down. What happens here is what I want to talk about. What happens here at like not necessarily rock bottom, but a place where you are so far away from where you once were before, and all you hope to do is just get back to where you were, because feeling this iman and feeling this growth was so nice. Like, it's crazy how like a week ago maybe you were probably feeling amazing, and then one decision you make completely switches it up and you fall. How do we get back up here if not even stronger? And what do we do so we're not here for too long? Here is where the problem is. When you're down here, not only did you slip and fall, on top of that, you're criticizing yourself, you're judging yourself, and you're being so harsh to yourself. What do I mean by that? So let's say you make this decision, because we all have free will to some extent. You make this decision that takes you off course. And like, maybe deep down inside, part of you knew that this wasn't going to be the right decision, and part of you knew that this is going to take you away from the straight path, from becoming the better version of yourself. But you're just like, let me just explore it anyways. Let me just kind of like open this door out of curiosity, or kind of having this false sense that you're strong enough, that you can handle it, maybe like you're in control and like nothing will happen, right? So you open this door and you explore it, right? And then this decision now you realize was not the right decision, and it takes you off course, and it takes you further away from God. It takes you further away from this better version of yourself that you've worked so hard to develop. On top of that, you criticize yourself, and you feel bad, and you judge yourself. And that is exactly where the mistake is. The mistake is assuming that you're not human. The mistake is assuming that you're not going to inevitably fall and slip at times. Do you really think that God hadn't already planned for this? Do you really think that God doesn't know that we're human, and he like built in these tests for us, and he knows we're gonna fall, and he knows we're gonna fall for the trap and make slip-ups, right? Like, we're human beings. That's the whole point. The problem isn't slipping. The problem isn't even this dip. The problem is how long you stay there. What determines how long you stay there is the way you speak to yourself, is the way you view yourself, is this perception of who you are. So at first, I really want to focus on this negative self-talk. And hopefully the goal of this will be to get you to understand how this negative self-talk is not coming from you, and how to separate yourself from this so that you can actually move on, so that you can come out of this rut that you're in and get back on the road to becoming the best version of yourself. When you do something that probably wasn't the best decision for you, on top of that, now you have this overwhelming feeling of guilt, shame. And what this does is it actually creates distance between you and the Creator. This is not coming from a good place. I want you to understand that. Beating yourself up over something that you've done wrong in the past is not coming from a good place. It's not being humble, and it's not going to serve in the betterment of you, because negative self-talk never does that. And what I want you to realize, that this is truly coming from Shaitan. And Shaitan works so cleverly. It's like he's in disguise, and you assume that it's coming from you, but it's not. Shaitan's not always so obvious, right? Like, he can be so deceptive and like weave himself into your thoughts, and you start believing that those are coming from you. But how you know that this is not coming from Allah is when it's creating distance between you and God. Any thoughts that create distance between you and God are not coming from a divine source. Just kind of like a thought experiment. If I were Shaitan, if I were the devil, I would want to make sure that human beings are as far away from God, from the source, from peace as much as possible. And how do I do that? I get them to believe that they're not good enough. I get them to believe that they're unworthy of worship, that God doesn't love them, that they're bad, and that's going to keep them stuck. And that way, they're not going to feel connected. And when you don't feel connected to God, you're not going to really want to worship him. You're not going to really want to listen to him because you don't understand him. Like now you think that he doesn't love you. Why on earth would you pray if you don't believe that God loves you? That makes complete sense. I want you to understand that this is all negative self-talk. It's coming from Shaitan. It's not coming from you. This is not the wise version of you. I believe that our perception of ourselves is synonymous with the way that we think God views us. For example, if we think we're a bad person, we also think God thinks we're a bad person. I think those go hand in hand, right? Because to know yourself is to know God, and to know God is to know yourself, and vice versa, right? Like we are literally a creation from the Creator. So whatever we think of ourselves, we think that God also thinks that about ourselves as well. So what happens if you think that you're bad? You subconsciously carry this belief around you for several years. And what you're going to do is you're actively going to seek out experiences and people that further reaffirm and validate that belief. And what I mean by that is you are going to find relationships with people who are going to validate this false belief you have that you are bad. And you're going to believe them. Even though they're not true, you're going to believe them. When people say you're a bad person, you're going to believe them. Because why? Subconsciously, you do think you're bad. Life is literally one big feedback loop. And whatever goes on here subconsciously in our minds is exactly what we seek in our perception of reality. So if you believe you are good and if you believe you're worthy of love, you're going to actively seek out people who also reaffirm that idea. And that is the truth. Why? Let's say you feel like you're bad, right? You're not good enough. God doesn't love you and you're unworthy of love and you're broken. How does that feel inside of you? Do you feel close to God? Do you feel peace when you think that way? Do you feel motivated to be better? Probably not. Like you feel, if anything, just like probably very heavy, very dark, very lonely, very sad. These are not coming from a divine source. What if I were to tell you, you are good and you have a beautiful soul and God created you for a reason and God loves you. God loves you so much that he decided that you have a place on this earth. Like it's quite literally a miracle that you're here on this earth. And he tests you because he wants you to get closer to him, because he wants you to realize the love he has for you. Doesn't that make you want to get closer to God? Doesn't that make you feel so open and light? It's because it's the truth. It's because deep down inside, you know that's the truth. And I want you to listen to that. So how do we form this perception of God over time? I believe, unfortunately, this is the case with a lot of people, including myself, we tend to project our human flaws and qualities onto him. And we especially parentify God. What I mean by that is that the qualities our parents have, we associate that with God. So if our parents were very critical of us, if they judged us, if they always made us feel bad, we kind of tend to project that onto God as well. And I don't blame us for that because we were probably introduced to the idea of God through our parents. And so naturally, like any trauma, any difficulties we have with our parents, we unfortunately associate that with God. And that's at least what I had done for a very long time. And it's so sad because like God is so much more bigger than all of that and so much more merciful and loving than that. And it's just so unfortunate that a lot of us get introduced this like version of God through like the limited perception of other human beings. And this is not to say to blame your parents or anything, but I want us to hopefully have our own relationship with God that is solely ours and ours alone, and not through the lens of our parents who probably had their own difficulties and their own traumas. That's why it's so important to find God on your own and to learn about his qualities on your own, and be very careful about where you get your information. Because if you get it through the lens of someone who is judgmental of themselves, and if they believe God is very judgmental, they're going to project that onto you, and you're going to also believe, oh yeah, God is very judgmental. God is this very strict being. It's just like a very dangerous path to go on. And literally in the Quran, Allah mentions, I am what my creation thinks I am. So if you believe that God is this harsh, unforgiving, merciless being, then that's exactly what you're going to experience in this world. That's just like a really dark, scary place to be. But if you believe that God is merciful and he's loving and he's so gracious, that's the way you're going to perceive the world, perceive yourself and everything around you. So I highly recommend trying to study the 99 names of Allah and just like really understanding them. And one thing I find fascinating is, out of all the ways that Allah could have chosen to introduce himself to us, he makes sure that the most common word he uses to refer to himself is Ar-Rahman. Like everything always comes down to mercy. He's always the most merciful. That is the most common name, right? So like for those of you who don't know, there are 99 names of Allah, and this is basically how he wants to introduce himself to us. And by learning the 99 names of Allah, you learn the qualities of your creator, but you also learn the qualities of yourself as well. And it's crazy to me that Allah is more compassionate to us than we are to ourselves. He is more forgiving of us than we are towards ourselves. Isn't that incredible? We are harder on ourselves than God is. Why are we always going around punishing ourselves and being so mean to ourselves? Don't we understand that we are quite literally a creation of God? To disrespect ourselves is to disrespect his creation. And he gave us this life for a reason. And we just go around hating ourselves. Quite literally hating his creation. The thing is, you guys, we got it all wrong. We engage in all these rituals thinking that, you know, we're just like checking this off a to-do list. But like, are you actually feeling it? Are you actually feeling this connection? Are you actually feeling connected to the source at all? Because if you aren't, then what's the point? Then all of it becomes almost meaningless if you're just doing it to do it. And there's this one analogy, I think it was from Secrets of Divine Love, or something that Rumi had said, or maybe Shams of Tabriz. I think it was Shams of Tabriz. Those people who just kind of like engage in the rituals, like just praying and like doing all the stuff versus like really understanding it and like feeling it, are two completely different type of people. So if you're just like engaging in rituals, it's equivalent to just like staring at a candle, when the whole point of that candle was to light the path from one place to another. But some of us get so stuck on the ritual that we're just like staring at this candle, but we don't realize that the whole point of that is a means to get us from one place to another. The thing is, when you understand Allah and when you like truly get to know him and how much he loves you, like you're going to be begging to pray. Like you're going to never miss a prayer because you'll understand like how much love he has for you. And it stops becoming this like burden or just like something you have to get out of the way. All you're going to want to feel is his love, because it is just so like out of this world that nothing on this planet can provide that for you. And that's why I highly encourage like really understanding our creator, because at the end of the day, we're his creation. And of course, we're going to have similar qualities to him because we're his creation. And so if you want to understand yourself, you have to understand the source. All this to say, pretty much, that you don't have to have a specific month or certain rituals or be at a certain place or time in your life to feel the love of Allah, because He was always there. He was always there. He's always been there, and He's always going to be there. And He is closer to you than your jugular vein. So anytime we experience this hardship in life where we inevitably will slip and fall, and I promise you this will happen, it's not a matter of avoiding that, because to err, to fail, to make mistakes is human. But it's a matter of understanding the compassion and the mercy of Allah. And when you understand that, you will easily get right back up, because then you'll understand that, oh, this is just a test, and this doesn't mean that Allah hates me. And if anything, He loves me because He wants to strengthen my relationship with Him. So another thing I wanted to also talk about, and I think a lot of you will relate to this, is like, okay, like one test is enough, right? Like some people, it seems like, don't get tested at all. Like they're just cruising through life and just like, seems like, they're getting all the gifts and blessings. First of all, don't do that. That's, you're comparing yourself to people when you have no idea when their tests will come or what tests they're currently facing, and maybe they're just doing a great job of hiding it. But I don't know, I've especially been feeling like, why can't I just have like at least a few months of just peace and like not falling flat on my face, and just like, why can't I just enjoy a few steady months of growth and peace? It seems like I get tested very regularly, like very frequently. And I don't know, I just kind of like got a little upset and hurt, because it's like Ramadan just happened, and it's like, why can't I even just maintain this iman for like a couple months, right? Like it's like literally a week later, I get tested again. I'm not even joking. It's like, wow, like I can't seem to catch a break. And I was like, but wouldn't you rather be tested so that you can have an even stronger relationship with Allah? Because think about those people. So imagine this. Imagine you go to the gym once, right? Like you go to the gym once and it's really hard and you have a great workout and you survive and you make it through and then you're good. And then imagine like never ever going to the gym ever again. Versus someone who goes to the gym on a regular basis. They are going to war. They are going to the gym. They're facing all these hardships, and they come out and then they go again the next day, and then they go again the next day. Wouldn't you say that person B is much stronger than person A? I mean, just like logically speaking, they have many more reps in, they have much more practice, and they're going through hardships on a daily basis. So of course they're going to develop more resilience and be stronger. And that's the way I want you to view yourself. If you are constantly facing hardships, it's not for no reason. It's quite literally to bring you closer and closer to Allah. So every time you slip and fall, it's not because you're weak. It's because you are being blessed with yet another opportunity to strengthen yourself. You're kind of like a chosen one. Do you understand that? And I don't like to boost up the ego like that, but it is true. Like logically speaking, if you experience more hardships, more tests, more of that, and yet you make it on the other side every time, you are naturally going to be more resilient and more strong and have a much more closer relationship to our Creator. I know it can be so overwhelming to feel like you're going through war, like almost on a daily basis. I get it. It's like this constant internal struggle and wondering like, what's this all for, and whether you're going to make it on the other side. And in those cases, it's so important to understand that we have such like a limited perception of our life, and we can't see the bigger picture right now. But there is definitely God who is viewing all this from above, and He knows what's going to happen, and He loves you, and He's not going to put you through any trials or hardships that he knows you couldn't endure. Understand that you're almost like in this boot camp and you're being trained for a particular reason. Not only that, but I hope you guys will understand one day how much confidence you're going to develop once you get yourself out of this rut. I'm like kind of almost coming out of my rut, and trust me, when I was in my rut, like I felt like I would never get out and I would be stuck here forever, and it's a very dark, scary feeling. But once like I'm starting to finally get myself out, the confidence that I'm feeling right now is like amazing, because it's like I pulled myself out of this. I did this. I mean, like I did this, but like Allah gave me the strength. And I just can't help but question the timing. It's just so interesting because like Ramadan was just a couple weeks ago, and then I was instantly given this hardship, and now I'm like starting to come back out. So I can't help but wonder what was the reason for that, you know? Like it definitely feels like this is just yet another way to show me that I am strong, I am resilient, and I am lovable. So I hope at least some of what I'm saying can help you guys at least not stay in this rut for too long, right? Because the whole goal is not to avoid falling and making mistakes and slipping up, right? That's gonna happen. But I hope that at least what I'm saying can maybe make it shorter, so you're not in this place for a long time, and just help you view things differently and understand that this judgment and criticism that you are experiencing from yourself is not coming from you, and understanding that you are lovable and God loves you and he's there whenever you want to go back and just have a conversation with him. View him as like a best friend, and he's got your back at the end of the day. No matter where you are in life, you can always turn to him. No matter what corner of the earth you're in, you can always turn to him and he'll be there. And the whole point of this video is not so you can become someone you aren't, but actually tap into the version of you that was always there, that was always a good person, that was always lovable. And this reminds me of a quote by Michelangelo, the one who made that famous sculpture of David. And someone asked him once, "How did you make this amazing sculpture of David?" And he replied, "It's simple. I just chipped away anything that wasn't David." So that's just amazing, because he had this piece of marble and he just simply chipped away anything that wasn't David, and it revealed David. And so just like think about that. That is just so true, because when you're on this healing journey, sometimes you think that you have to be someone you aren't, but that's not the whole point. The whole point is to understand that you were good all along, that the higher version of you was there all along. And it's just a matter of taking out those layers that we've been conditioned with to believe that for some reason we're bad or we're unlovable or we should judge ourselves, we should criticize ourselves, we should hate ourselves, all this kind of, crap. It's literally just crap. And so it's a matter of like taking away all that to reveal the beautiful creation that Allah has created. So I want you in this difficult time of life that you're experiencing to give yourself compassion. Don't compare yourself to other people who have more resources or more support than you, right? Like you were doing this all on your own. And well, not on your own because you have Allah by your side. But I hope you can understand that this hardship was placed in your life for a reason, and you're not going to understand that now, but you will understand it later. I guarantee you that. For the very few of you that have stuck around this whole time, thank you so much. I really, really hope that what I had to say resonates with you and connects with you on a deeper level. And I will definitely be making more of these kinds of videos that I hope can help other people out. And these kinds of videos definitely take a certain level of vulnerability that you have to have on the internet, because, you're basically sharing like very, very difficult experiences with other people. But, Yet it's something that I'm so willing to do now because I feel like with social media, it's just such a world of deceit where we constantly pretend like our lives are perfect and they're not. And trust me, I used to be one of those types of people who would like always just post like my happy moments. And it wasn't until I started experiencing difficulties that when I would go on social media and look at like other people's stories and stuff, that I truly understood what it's like to feel less than, to feel like, sad when you view that, because it's like you think that other people are living these perfect lives, but they're not. And ever since then, I've vowed to myself that I am always going to show up as authentically as possible, not just like on the internet, but like in real life as well. I will always be very transparent and never pretend that I have this perfect life, because I don't. And I never ever want people to look at my life and like feel bad about themselves or feel like they're missing something, because it's like such a crappy feeling. I totally understand that, and I see that from a whole different perspective. So all that to say, I can definitely guarantee that I'm going to show up as authentically as possible, and in hopes to help at least one person out there who is going through something similar. So I hope this video helps, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.